Hello everybody, welcome back to another video, and today we're going to be talking about Breaking Bad Season 2. So, the last video I made on Breaking Bad was back in, I think, April, so it's been about 4 months between uploads about this show. I should have done it more closer to June, but I think it's nice to space out my reviews of this series because I think it's a treat when this comes around because I love this show. I discussed about it in my ranking video. Breaking Bad is my number one show. As much as I think The Sopranos runs a close race with it, this is Breaking Bad. A lot of people say they'll give you this stuff. You don't get hooked on it until season 3, but to me, season 2 is really what got me hooked on the show. Season 1, I enjoyed every part of season 1, but season 2, for me, with the episodes here, I'm going to be talking about 3 episodes in this season that were some of my favorites. And let's talk about the first episode that's my favorite in this season, Grilled, which is season 2, episode 2. So in the previous episode, Tuco had held Walter and Jesse at gunpoint because Jesse drove over to Walter's house and he goes out to the car and sees Tuco in the back seat with a gun to Jesse's head, and he gets in, and then we meet Tio Salamanca. So he's more the character. We learn more about him as the season goes on. We also see him before the bell and stuff in Better Call Saul, which I'm eventually gonna make videos about that show too because I'm gonna have to rewatch it before I do. But yeah, but just it's pretty suspenseful when TOC is how Walt was trying to poison Tuco's burrito, but he starts using the bell, and then Tuco flips out, throws Jesse outside, and Hank is meanwhile on the trail of Jesse and Walt. He gets the TOs, and we get the shootout between Tuco and Hank. Tuco, because earlier Tuco had gotten hit in the head by a rock and then shot in the stomach, so he was already damaged. But this puts him out. Then we see Walt and Jesse escape, and then the fugue state starts, where Walt pretends he was, having a he didn't know he was out there, like out walking around. I don't know how to explain it. And overall, it is a very exciting episode. It's probably the one that got me into this series. Although I think it was episode 3. If it was in the bags in the river, that was episode 3 of season 1. That's probably what really got me into this show. But a lot of times, I think about Breaking Bad. A lot of times, season 2 will sometimes get looked over for me. I see a lot of people say it's their least favorite season in the whole show. It's a little bit over season 1 for me. Although, with that being said, season 1's a great season. So there's not a bad season of Breaking Bad, just a less great season of Breaking Bad, basically. And let's just talk about the acting again. Aaron Paul, Bryan Cranston, amazing again. Bryan Cranston might Walter White and Bryan Cranston portraying him might be the greatest bit of acting in television. I'm just gonna say that it might be. James Gandolfini, he's great. He runs, like I said, close race, but I think that Bryan Cranston was that Anthony Hopkins said he loved Bryan's acting as Walt. Aaron Paul again is an underrated actor. He's great as Jesse. This show wouldn't really work without him, I don't feel like. And the last actress I'm going to talk about for our new character introduced this season, who gets introduced in season 2, episode 5, it's Krysten Ritter, who plays Jane, Jesse's love interest this season, and she'll be a part of the next episode we talk about after we talk about something else. So, this season we're introduced to who might be my favorite Better Call Saul Breaking Bad universe character. Saul Goodman is introduced in season 2, episode 8 in this season. We're introduced to Saul and Bob Odenkirk. It is no wonder this side character became so great and got his own prequel series, because you could tell Saul's got something fake about him, right? Because I'm not actually Jewish. That's just for the Jewish homeboys. My real name is McGill. when he's talking to Walt, and it means so much more when you've watched Better Call Saul to see Saul introduced in the show. And we're also introduced to Gus, who is one of the greatest antagonists in television. Giancarlo Esposito plays him greatly, very intimidatingly. Now, it's come to a point when you see Giancarlo Esposito and other things like Far Cry, you think Gus. Because that's the impact this character is. Just like the cold, calculated business approach that he takes. Nothing can go wrong. Nothing can be left to chance. He wants everything his way, basically. And it's no wonder season 4 is my favorite, because you have that constant back and forth between Walt and Gus. And so, back to Jane. You probably know the episode Phoenix where she overdoses, right? But overall, she was a great character the rest of it and the rest of this season. And some would argue that Walt was helping Jesse because she would have led Jesse into drugs, which is a possibility. It's possible Jesse could overdose. So, but still, through her character, we see Walt basically starts down the path of, before, like, a lot of people say, I'd say I stopped rooting for Walt after Mike dies. Speaking of which, Mike is introduced to season 2. And he was only supposed to be there because Bob Odenkirk couldn't come in one day. That's one of the greatest decisions ever, because Jonathan Banks as Mike he's very underrated. He gets, like I said, more he gets more fleshed out in Better Call Saul too, just like Saul Goodman. And you learn his backstory in Philadelphia and stuff as a cop, and his son got killed by the other corrupt cops. So it's like, it means more when you see him here. But he's great. Just calm, collected, pissed. He does not take any of Walt's shit once they meet. And the thing, so with Jane's death, we start getting Walt losing his humanity. He's still human, but he starts, when he could save her, flip her over on her side, he lets her sit there and choke to death. That's the first start that Walt is willing to do something for the sake of, of himself not getting ratted out, or stuff like that, or them going and ratting on Walt, yeah, or Jesse dying. This is the beginning of that Walt, you start to not want to root for Walt. I think I rooted for Walt all the way up until season 5, episode 8, which is, I think, Gliding Overall is the name of that one. I think that's the one where Walt kills Mike because Mike tests his ego, and that's when I think I finally quit rooting for Walt completely. But it's close to that. Season 5, episode 6, also, where he starts whistling when the kid gets shot in season 5, episode 5. Like, he doesn't actually care about it, and Jesse can tell how screwed that is. But so the last episode in season 2 I want to talk about is 4 Days Out. One of my favorite character moments between these two. We get them out in the desert. First we see Walt's worried about his cancer, so he thinks he's gonna die. They're out in the desert. They make the meth. They get bonding. We learn more about the characters, we see their relationship more, Jesse and Walt. And then the RV, it breaks down, so they have to come up with a way to re-energize it, power it back up to get it back into town. Because Jesse's friend Badger couldn't get to him, so they were stranded out there. And then we see Walt's just disappointment when he gets back to town and finds out his cancer's in remission, which means he's not going to die soon. That just throws all his plans out of fruition. And this season really leads up, this starts that Breaking Bad feeling. The tone that will finally hit once season 3 starts, especially. Because season 3 is all out. Probably the best in these early seasons, the first 3. Definitely. And one more thing I'll say, there's also the episode where Tortuga his head is put on the turtle, I think, in this season, and blown up. And the plane crash, which takes place in the finale, because Jane's dad was distracted. There's a lot of great stuff in Breaking Bad season 2. Not as good as season 3, 4, 5, but still a step up from season 1. Season 1 was good, but this one just got me hooked, basically. So I'd rate season 2 of Breaking Bad a good, I don't know what I'd give the first one. I'd probably give this one an 8.9. Close to a 9. Everything else is going up from here. Believe me. And when it gets to the season 4 and 5, you'll see what I mean. That's firing on all cylinders. Those 2 seasons are. And I'll discuss which ones are my favorite. So I don't know when I'll be doing my favorite episodes of Breaking Bad season 3. I'd hope it'll be in it might be in September. It might be in September when I come back and do those. It could be next month. Who knows? But I'm gonna be rewatching the show anyways. This coming up later and later this year, so I might wait to do it till then. Just like the rewatching. But until then, or until our next upload, I love you guys. Stay blessed. You guys are the whole reason I can do this. Christ loves you. See you in the next one.